These 20 brutal lessons took me 6 years to learn and more blown accounts than I can count. But if you pay attention for just 10 minutes, you can save yourself all of it. So let's start with the first one. You should judge a system after 100 trades, not 10. Because 10 trades is just noise. Statistically worthless. You will switch systems before you even see the edge play out. This is why most traders never get consistent. They quit before the data means anything. You need 50 to 100 trades under the exact same rules to even see a pattern. But you won't even get that far if you don't know what to expect. Listen, if you don't know your average win rate, risk reward or drawdown, you are trading blind. You will over-risk, over-expect and panic at completely normal outcomes. You will think something's wrong when in reality, that's just how the system works. A trader without stats is like a pilot flying with no instruments. Confident in clear skies, but helpless the moment a storm hits. Even if your system has edge, you won't trust it when pressure hits. Because without stats, you don't know what normal even looks like. But even with perfect stats, you will still fail if you don't accept what they imply, that bad periods are guaranteed. Because losing streaks aren't flaw in your system, they are the system. Every edge, no matter how strong, comes with drawdowns. And if you panic every time one hits, you will keep resetting the clock, never giving it a chance to work. This is how most traders lose. Not because of lack of skill, but expecting perfection in a game built on probability. But consistent traders don't react to losses. They plan for them, they build systems that survive them. But even if you accept losing periods, none of it matters if your rules aren't actually fixed. Look, if your rules aren't 100% clear, you don't really have a system. You can't even backtest it. You can't trust it, and when pressure hits, you fall apart. Was this setup clean enough? Did I force it? Should I skip it next time? That's not trading. That's emotional roulette. If your rules aren't crystal clear, you will keep blaming yourself when things go wrong. And once that starts, your consistency is gone. But clarity alone still isn't enough, because complexity will destroy your consistency. More filters, more confirmations, more rules. It feels like you are making the system better. But what actually happens? You take fewer trades, you skip valid setups because you are second guessing or confused, and your results drop. Even though the strategy looked better. Simply doesn't mean weak. It means cleaner execution. More trades, fewer mistakes. But even a simple system is useless if you can't execute under pressure. Because you can't control how a trade plays out. The market will do what it wants, no matter how perfect the setup looks. All you truly control is whether you follow the rules or not. But most traders hardly care about that. They obsess over P&L, the outcome, the immediate result, instead of focusing on the one thing that actually builds consistency: flawless execution. Because every time you break the plan, even if the trade wins, you are not getting away with it. You are reinforcing a pattern. That emotion is allowed to override structure, and over time, that pattern becomes your default. But here is the real problem. Even if you want to follow the rules, you won't be able to if you are forced to make high-pressure decisions in a few seconds. The moment you decide the trade before the price even gets there, you remove most of the pressure. No second guessing, no hesitation, no chasing candles. You already made the decision with a clear mind. Now you just let the system do its job. That's why using limit orders instead of market execution is one of the easiest ways to reduce mistakes. But pressure still creeps in if your risk is too high. Most traders risk what they think they can handle. But in real conditions, that number is almost always too high. Because when the pressure kicks in after a few losses or in a drawdown, your brain flips, logic disappears, and you start making emotional decisions. True risk tolerance isn't about being brave. It's about staying calm when it matters most. So always risk less than you think is safe. Because this game isn't about quick gains. It's about staying alive long enough for your edge to play out. But even lower risk won't save you if you are still judging trades by outcome. Because a good trade isn't the one that made money. It's the one where you followed your plan perfectly. Because sometimes bad trades win and good trades lose. That's the nature of probability. And if you let your results define success, you are not building consistency, you are reinforcing randomness. And over time, that randomness becomes your habit. So start judging yourself by one thing only. Did I follow the system or not? That's the only metric that matters. The only one that actually leads to growth. But even with the right mindset, you will still burn out if your system drains your mental energy day by day. Because the more time you spend on the charts, the more pressure you feel to make it worth. And when a losing month hits, which it will, that time investment turns into frustration, doubt, and overtrading. But if your system takes 5 minutes a day, you don't feel like you need to make money every day or week. You are detached. Less time equals less pressure, and less pressure equals fewer mistakes. But less chart time is only possible if you stop obsessing and micromanaging every single trade. Listen, watching the chart won't make the trade better. It just makes you more emotional. Every candle feels like a threat. Every pullback feels like failure. That's why once you take a trade, you should just set alerts and walk away. This way you avoid 90% of unnecessary mistakes. So detach from the noise and let the system play out. But you won't be able to freely walk away if your subconscious still reacts to every single candle. Because your brain doesn't see candles. It sees threats and safety. Imagine this. You are in a long position. 2 losses behind you, you enter. 5 minutes later, giant red candle. The trade is not even close to your stop loss, but your brain screams something's wrong. That's why one-colored candles work. They strip away the bias, they force you to see structure, not emotions. Now, it takes a few hours to get used to, but then the noise fades and logic takes over. But even if you remove emotional spikes, it won't help if you still expect big results fast. Most traders lose because their goals are delusional. They want 15% a month, 20% a month, life-changing results from a 10k account. But listen, with unlimited prop firms, you don't need insane returns. Even 2-3% on 400k, that's 6-10k a month. And all you need to scale up even more is a simple trade copier and more accounts. So you don't need to chase big results. You need to survive. Execute cleanly, let the capital do the heavy lifting. But you won't accept small returns if you are still addicted to excitement. Look, if trading still feels exciting, you are probably doing it wrong. Because real consistency isn't built on adrenaline. It's built on routine, on calm, calculated repetition, no rush, no drama, no guessing. Just the same boring process executed the same exact way every single day. And ironically, the less emotion you feel, the more profit you will be able to make. Because excitement leads to impulse. Impulse leads to inconsistency, and inconsistency kills every edge, no matter how strong. But even if you master boredom, you will still end up frustrated if your system isn't mathematically balanced. You can't have both high win rate and high risk reward. There is always a trade-off. If your win rate is super high, let's say 85%, it sounds great. But to get there, your risk reward will likely be around 0.5, which means just a few losses and panic kicks in. Because deep down, you know it will take 5-6 wins just to recover. And if you go for 10-hour trades, you will sit in drawdown for many weeks waiting for one win to carry the month. And if you miss that one win, it breaks you. Listen, I have traded both extremes, and I have seen dozens of students burn out in both. Your main goal should be balance between 35 to 45% win rate and 2-3 risk reward with solid trade volume. But even that balance won't mean anything if you are still comparing your system to everyone else's. Because everyone tells you different things. Trade breakouts, no, only trade reversals. Use indicators, no, Never use indicators. Use smart money. Smart money doesn't work. If you try to follow all of them, you follow no one. Pick one person you trust, one approach you resonate with, and shut everything else out. Because trying to follow 10 different styles only guarantees you will stay in the same place. But even if you find the right voice, you will still fail if you don't track and fix your own mistakes. Look, if you are a more advanced trader, journaling shouldn't be about wins or losses. It should be about what happened inside you during the trade. What you felt, what you did, where you slipped. Did you follow the plan? If not, why? Because writing it down is only half the job. The real power comes when you review it weekly, spot the repeating mistakes, and fix the root cause before it ruins your next trade. But even journaling means nothing if you don't actually put yourself under pressure. Because you won't become a better trader by watching more videos. At some point, it stops being education and starts being productive procrastination. Because you already know enough. The problem isn't knowledge, it's pressure. You haven't trained yourself to stay calm when money is real, the doubt is loud, and the plan feels fragile. That kind of growth only happens on the chart, in real time, under fire. But even if you show up daily, you will still sabotage your progress if you are desperately trying to catch every single trade. Because you will miss trades, winners, losers, doesn't matter. It's part of the game and always will be. You're not supposed to catch everything. It's impossible. And if you try to force every setup, chase every candle, you will burn out, overtrade, and break your system. You need to accept the missed trades, detach from the outcome, play the long game. But even that kind of self-control won't hold up if deep down your ego still needs to be right. Always remember, it's not about the market, not about the strategy, not even the stats. Because if you keep sabotaging the system can't save you. The rules won't protect you, the backtest won't fix you, no mentor can make it work for you. At the end of the day, you are the final edge. Your discipline, your patience, your ability to stay out of the way. Fix yourself and everything else will follow. So, these were the 20 lessons, but I need to be honest with you. None of them will make any difference if you are still making just one of the 7 most common mistakes that I expose in this video.